Welcome once again to the Fun Show here at Big TV. We were with you last week. Some interesting things have happened. The last time we were with you, we predicted that they would have to drop the case against Kevin Spacey. So that came true. And it is no surprise to point out that the current occupant of the Oval Office in the White House has gone batshit crazy again. Well, maybe not. He just continues to be batshit crazy.
Stay in the course.
We have a new name for him, a current occupant, a number of names. His new name is Danilo Mussolini.
Duce.
What a wuss. What a wuss.
Yeah.
In any case, before moving on, I want to read you something from Philip Hall, a person who we regrettably lost recently. He wrote, "I found much that was alarming about being a citizen during the tenures of Richard Nixon and George W. Bush. But whatever I may have seen as their limitations of character or intellect, neither was anything like or as humanly impoverished as Trump. Ignorant of government, of history, of science, of philosophy, of art, incapable of expressing or recognizing subtlety or nuance, destitute of all decency, and wielding a vocabulary of 77 words that is better called jerkish than English." Sitting behind the keyboard is our leader, Michael Sallin, finding a tune coming out of the Kira keyboard. I'm Arch O'Reilly, and sitting between us once again, I'm pleased to say, is Susan Harrington.
Here, here.
Susan, we've lost a few people in the meantime.
Unfortunately. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, things happen. Elijah Pumpsy Green, he was the first person of color to play for the Red Sox. He was 85 years old. He was from 59 to 63.
And he was well liked by everybody.
And interestingly enough, appears to have had a very enjoyable experience.
Yeah.
It is unfortunately historically necessary to point out that the Boston Red Sox were the last baseball team to actually employ an African American player, which is why Yawkey Way is no longer called Yawkey Way. So, at least I wonder.
Far.
It's too bad that no one asked Pumpsy Green what he thought about cleansing Tom Yawkey from the local history books. But anyway.
Well, it's a good story about a good man.
So Danilo today he continues to slide off the wall like some brown goop that gets splashed up there. So he decided he'd start today calling the 4 congressmen that he's been attacking and vilifying. He's now claiming that they're the racists.
They're the racists.
Yeah, they're the racists. They owe America an apology, et cetera, et cetera. And you know who he sent out to defend him? This will show you how absolutely desperate he is. He sent out Stephen Miller. Stephen Miller, who is the star of Fear the Walking Dead.
He goes, the president.
He's a
Trump
ghoul.
What?
He's a ghoul.
Yeah, he's a terrible
He
person.
makes Goebbels look like a gentleman. And
That's a good line.
And
Okay. Yeah.
so you're pretty desperate when you send him out to speak in your favor.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, Stephen Miller is such an embarrassment that I have a very good friend and a gentleman of intellect and education and distinction who had the misfortune of being named Stephen Miller. So about 2 or 3 months ago, he informed me that he had changed his name.
I knew you were going to tell me.
Yeah, he had changed his name, which was the clear bite back on things.
I'd like to know what his
I don't
name
want to
is.
talk about this unfortunate person who
Yeah.
got himself in trouble over at Harvard.
Well, but you know who else we lost? Rip Torn.
Rip Torn.
He was married to Geraldine Page at one time.
What a strange
He
name
was.
that was. Was that his given
No,
name?
no,
Okay,
no.
that was.
You know, back when they were giving all
No, they
in
gave-
Hollywood,
Yeah,
they were
they-
doing
they-
these
these
weird
guys,
names,
yeah,
she's-
and that's what he picked.
She's got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Rip Torn. I never could decide whether Rip Torn was really a good actor or whether he was the Keanu Reeves of his day.
He was
He
a
was-
pretty good
yeah.
actor, I felt. Yeah.
Yeah.
He had some stuff. He had some
Well,
stuff.
Keanu Reeves couldn't act his way out
Wow.
of a parking ticket.
That poor boy's been through a lot of stuff.
And
Well, he's
Pelosi.
rich and famous. He doesn't deserve to be.
No, I mean there was a thing in the paper about his father walked out when he was 3. He nursed his sister through leukemia. He's pretty
Well,
good human
okay.
being. He may can't act too well, but he's a pretty good human being.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'd say
that's
so.
good.
Yeah.
I liked it too.
good.
Oh,
That's-
the
that's
name was enough for me to like him. Yeah.
Keanu Reeves was a popular name with you?
Yeah, I like.
Really?
No,
You like
not
that
the,
one,
the
huh?
other guy, Rip Torn.
Oh, Rip Torn.
yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
Rip
I like
Torn.
that name.
You know,
And his Speaker
Rip
Pelosi,
Torn must have
unbothered.
been the same person who came up with Rock Hudson.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could have been Pebble Hudson, but okay. Congressman, his Pelosi, unbothered
Is that
by
a homophobic
criticism
comment or something?
of the squad.
Huh? I wish they would drop that squad nonsense.
They like that.
They've decided now that they do like
They
it, and
do
they're
like it.
playing
They-
on
I
it,
heard her
and
say,
it's
yeah.
playing into. It's playing into the other side's hands.
Yeah.
It is absolutely stupid.
Well, that's what the New York Times writers say, and
Oh, really?
Yeah, just what you said.
Well, this is simply my opinion. It's absolutely stupid. Because when you hear the word squad, what do you think of? Firing squad,
Yeah.
execution squad.
Well, maybe
you
that's
know.
what they got in mind. I don't know.
And it's dumb. They shouldn't be doing that, but they are. In fact, today
They're
in
going
my
to get
email,
worse. They're going to get worse.
I got an offer for like 7 different versions of buttons and tags that all read, I'm with the squad and etc. No, this is not good. We need better.
Yeah.
We need better political operatives if we're going to get rid of the fascists currently occupying our government.
True.
It's ridiculous. But
Yeah.
anyway, on the other hand, the titular leader of the squad, one would have to admit, was AOC, right?
Yeah.
Alexandria or
Casio.
Ocasio-Cortez,
Yeah.
which
Pres-
Trump finds it impossible to say. He says, that's too much. I can't deal with 3 names. But not a Los Angeles, a Louisiana police officer put on his social media this screed against her, and he ended up strongly suggesting that she be shot. We're in good shape now, and of
Okay.
course, Donito Mussolini, he'll disavow. But it's funny. It's like he disavowed those chants, and then the next day he disavowed his disavowal.
You didn't tell us what happened to the policeman.
Well, we're not quite sure yet. It does appear at the moment that he will probably be looking for a new job.
They're considering terminating him.
Oh, and also, Donny Boy, he made this big deal about how he was going to intercede with the Swedish Prime Minister to get this rapper named
Yeah.
ASAP something.
That's his name.
That's his name, ASAP.
Then there's another part, too.
Yeah, I forget.
Oh.
Anyway, he was arrested in Sweden for suspicion of assault and battery and etc. And they're holding him. And Trump, apparently Melania asked him to intercede for this guy. Basically, the Prime Minister of Sweden went, politicians do not interfere with the courts in Sweden. And so Trump made one of his usual off-the-cuff
faux pas.
gestures.
Yeah.
I'll personally pay his bail.
Oh, that's always good.
They don't have bail in Sweden.
And better still, when has he ever paid for anything?
Yeah.
No, he's always promising to do things
Yeah.
like that. Remember in the campaign, beat the hell out of him. I'll pay your bail.
Yeah, that's.
I'll pay your legal costs.
I'm gonna give the veterans $1 million.
Yeah, right.
And then they had to bring it up at a big press meeting in front of him.
Never happened.
Never happened. But then
Even after that, it didn't happen.
he said it was going to happen.
Yeah.
And I think the check bounced. I'm not sure. But I never heard much about it after that.
This is the way it goes. You know, it's like all this stuff that's happening, unfortunately, in Iran and the Strait of Hormuz and the Gulf and stuff at the moment. And they had Pompeo over there saying, well, Iran has a long history of lying about stuff, and so don't believe anything that they say about the thing. And I'm going, speak for yourself, right? The fact of the matter is there is not a government on the face of the earth today, including North Korea, that I would be less likely to believe than the current fascist government of the United States.
Well,
Because our leader is incapable of not lying.
okay.
He lies when there's no reason to
Yeah.
lie. He lies about things he doesn't have to lie about, you know? After all, he did congratulate our Continental Army for capturing all the air bases in the Revolution.
Yeah.
You know? So I had to change the rules for the society. Now, if you served in the Continental Army, Continental Navy, now I had to add the Continental Air Force.
Oh, yeah, we have a Continental Air
Right.
Force.
If you were an officer in the Continental Air Force, you're now eligible.
Yeah, you could be a general or something like this.
A general. I had a friend who always made his friends colonels in the Confederate Air Force.
That's good. That's good.
That was good. He made me a colonel in the Confederate Air Force.
I have a guy at the place that I'm staying at. I don't know if I'm allowed to say.
The place where you're temporarily domiciled.
Anyways,
Which we don't say on air. Is that the rule?
well, I kind
You
of
keep forgetting what it's called.
You know,
you have
I could
someone
come
there-
over the table and do something to you. You know? I don't know if I like this.
That I'd like to see.
Well, I have to climb over this.
Over the keyboard.
And
over
I
the
don't have my climbing shoes on, so.
Anyway, so we don't say Goddard House.
Okay.
You know, this guy, Steyer, a billionaire, he's become another presidential candidate.
And he's spending a lot of money. He hasn't raised any yet that I know of.
He's spending his own,
But he's spending a lot of money because he's running more ads
yeah,
than anybody else.
television ads. They're pretty
More
good,
ads
not
than Trump.
bad.
They're not bad ads at all, but it's
No.
amazing. And it hasn't gotten him any traction so far. I am happy to report that my man who started late, Joe Sestak, has been spending a lot of time in Iowa, and he's now tied with a bunch of the third tier people like
3 and 2.
Gillibrand and the one-time front runner Beto O'Rourke and things.
Who I still like. I still think he's
Anyway, so in just in like a month, he's climbed up in the polls. So I'm
Says
happy
that.
about that.
okay.
And I'm just hoping, in a sense, that people will look at all these ads from this guy and then confuse them with Joe Sestak.
Before we do anything else, I want to bring up to you something that's really serious, or for the three of us. We should be involved in this. It has to do with a subject called Social Security. They're running out of the money.
Just as I'm about to collect it.
They've been saying that
But
for
this
decades.
time, the Democrats are saying it too, and they're saying that they might have to stop payments, or they might reduce the size of the checks.
You know what's ironic about that, Michael?
Yes.
To me, makes no difference in the world. Because I'm one of the small percentage of people who doesn't get Social Security.
Oh, it's a very small number.
It is relatively small. Yeah,
It is very small number.
I don't. I'm interested because of
But
my
I can't
friends and my
believe
citizens who
all
need
that
it.
time when you were the director of housing, that counts.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't.
No.
Well,
State employees did not pay into Social Security. We
So
don't
pay.
qualify. I
Pay
don't
if
have
you-
the quarters. I don't have the quarters.
that's true.
It's also why I don't have Medicare.
But you could do a little extra things, and if that crowd, the sons of the
I have to spend a couple of years working to get up to the point where, because I spent, 30 years of my working life not under Social Security.
right.
That's a lot to make up. You know?
The quarters are easier than you think. Getting
I
the
think I'm
quarters.
eligible because of all the part-time jobs I had.
Yes.
Yeah.
All you have to do is check with them.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And I think if you had a part-time job, you can do it.
Well, I remember when I went in because when you turned whatever it was, 65 or something, in order to continue
Yeah.
your state employees' health insurance,
Right.
you had to be formally turned down by Social Security for Medicare.
Oh,
So I went into this woman, I sat down with her, and she was so sort of shell-shocked and apologetic that I didn't qualify.
Oh.
She was reluctant to tell me. And I said, no, you don't understand. That's what I wanted to hear.
Okay.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's now time for the Big TV Unrehearsed Thespian Society's presentation for this evening, which
Goes back a ways.
goes back a ways, but it's actually more or less timeless. There's some references to Iraq, which we could just change to Iran, and we'd be right back
Or
where we started.
Afghanistan. Or Afghanistan.
And it was entitled Food Think.
Think. Okay.
Food Think. Action. Well, I'd love to have pizza tonight.
rather common, don't you think?
Starts out as a peasant food.
Oh, dissertation, no. Cheese and sauce, yes.
Well, I prefer broiled fish.
Well, it'll probably come from a sea farm.
Give me barbecued ribs.
Pepperoni, provolone.
I like
Yeah.
the taste of fresh fish.
Thin crust.
Go ahead.
No, you.
Thin crust brushed with oil. Oil, oh boy.
What are the troops eating in Iraq or Afghanistan?
The new field rations are better.
Yeah, you just add a little sand, ready to eat.
Good cooked meals, say embedded reporters.
Yeah, with pita bread, of course.
That's not mentioned.
No.
Strange but true.
The media tell us we should diet.
But the GIs like to eat.
Lots of energy used up.
And an army fights on its stomach.
In World War II, however, it was spam and powdered eggs.
They had another name for it, but I won't say it. Okay.
And food rationing at home.
The Navy and the Merchant Marine did okay. We always try to...
Come on, don't badmouth anybody, friend.
Well, yeah, too busy eating.
Wise guy.
So, where are we going tonight?
How about a Chinese takeout?
I thought you wanted pizza.
Well, changed my mind.
I don't want that sushi anyways.
Raw fish? That's Japanese.
Boneless spare ribs is a compromise
That's an appetizer.
without sand.
A Chinese restaurant in Iraq?
A pizza parlor I can see.
Now, you just chow down at the base. That's the best.
But it's not home cooking.
Since when did you get nostalgic?
It feels like spring.
April showers.
I visited this sick old vet.
Wait a second. You're a sick old vet.
Very good. Well, yeah, but stuff is starting to sprout.
Life cycle repeating.
Do you know what spring's like in Iraq?
Send a letter to the editor.
I want all the troops back, safe.
Amen.
Where's all this heading? Oh,
Just send in your tax form.
Too much religious divisiveness or
Okay.
divisiveness.
No divisiveness, all right? At least they're all Muslims. I mean, Muslims.
And an Iraq parliament is coming.
Rich or poor, I'd rather just have peace.
That's weird.
First, he tells us he can't wait for pizza.
Peace, pizza, close enough.
At the UN,
Will Kofi be replaced?
They don't lose jobs over there.
how do you get a UN job anyway?
Joe's
have-
got that qualification.
You have to know a foreign language.
Oh, what's this?
That's just, yeah, he's bilingual anyways.
I only speak English.
Sort of.
It doesn't sound like English.
Well, I never had any problems.
Your other friends don't speak English either.
Oh, very funny. Bunch of baloney.
Say delicatessen might be tasty.
Hey, I got some salami and liverwurst here.
For a change, okay. Go ahead. We want- That's insulting.
Yeah, it's fine after you cut the mold off.
Mold is good for you.
Now he's a doctor.
With his own emergency room, I think.
Yeah, I call it the kitchen. Ha ha ha.
Maybe meatloaf is tonight's best bet.
I could settle for that.
So, it's 2 against me now.
Oh.
We'll buy you a frozen pizza.
I can't eat that.
Well, this is new.
My physician, he said it's bad for my digestion.
This guy eats anything. I
Next.
know that.
Next, it'll be fish.
I'm off fish, guys.
Well, what's your problem now?
I'm a little queasy.
And candy bars, pastry.
Oh, I can handle that fine.
Some diet.
Until I get over my nervous stomach.
Oh,
Never heard of it.
never heard of yeah. So it's liquids tonight?
Actually, I begin that next month.
Does your stomach know?
Is your prescription in English?
That means a State Department job.
Oh, cut it out.
Surgery. That soon?
Doesn't look well.
Well, we ought to take his temperature at least.
It's always gags, huh?
Too much pepper on the last pizza.
That stuff could kill you.
Okay, you win.
Thanks, guys, but I don't feel like fish.
Too bad. I think she's growing gills.
Blackout.
Well, there's another fine.
Mess you got us into. It's another fine mess you got
Yeah,
us
another
into.
one you got us into. Sure.
So, Donnie Boy, who is, the funny thing is, it's sad, strange, bizarre.
Okay.
He has total and complete and absolute disregard for the Constitution of the United States.
He doesn't know what the Constitution of the United States is.
No, he was very funny. Recently he was claiming that he can't break any laws. Haven't you people ever read Article 2 of the Constitution? Well, Article 2 of the Constitution, he believes that it allows him to do anything he wants to do. But he's now decided that this
King Trump.
that he just signs an executive order. It's like a dictator's proclamations kind of things now. He thinks he can do anything illegal, anything that he stopped doing by signing a proclamation or an executive order. And now he's issued orders that his SS, his border police and immigration police,
Yeah, Kelly.
they now do not have to give any consideration to due process.
Good.
It's called, you grab them, you can move them out of the country. They don't have to go to a court. They don't have to go to a judge or anything else.
It's about time.
Catch and
just-
release.
Catch and send them back.
Oh, but what if
Catch
they,
'em.
what if they
The
say
word
I
was
won't
catch and
go?
release, but in his case,
Yeah.
it's send them back.
Nobody says, what if they say I won't go?
Shoot them.
That's now, you finally gave us an answer to the end of this process.
I mean, my friend from Canada keeps calling me and saying, when is Trump going to order his troops on the border to start shooting the refugees.
Oh,
It's
coming. All right.
Well, except this is why we call him Mussolini, because the thing is, he's great at making threats. He never follows through.
Well, he takes.
Right.
You could send them for a ride.
I'm putting tariffs on Mexico. No, I'm not. I ordered an attack on Iran. No, I called it off. Because 10 minutes before it, I finally asked if there'd be any casualties. Yeah, sure. Right? I mean, I hope that there's not a general anywhere around that wouldn't brief the president on a thing like this and lead with the projected
Wait a
casualties
minute.
of the thing.
He had some destroyers that showed up there in the Gulf, and they scared off those boats that were threatening those big tankers. One of them.
But didn't they grab some?
Well,
I haven't heard any more
so,
about it.
so they say.
That's right.
So they say.
Okay.
However, a good friend of mine who is a former Carrier Task Force commander says that should we get into a war with Iran, it would be very, very messy. Iran is 4 times the size of Iraq.
Right.
It has a much more modern and efficient army. It has more unity in its people, and that our carriers in the Gulf there would be suicidal sitting ducks.
They would pull them away.
They would, if they didn't get them out of there, we would lose them all in days.
Probably. It's a possibility.
And you know how many men and women are on a carrier?
About 4,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, it's all right because, Pompeo and Stephen Miller, they want a war. They're afraid that they might have to leave office without having their war.
What about that guy with the big mustache?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Can't remember his name.
Yeah, but
But he wants a war, too.
He wants a war too. Okay. Well, so far everything you've said should make our friends out there that are watching very satisfied
Yes,
the way
right,
things are
right.
going.
Well,
How
it
about
is.
you? Do you?
You know what? I don't understand. It seems to me with this many people forging the border in Obama's time.
No,
Yes.
no,
Yes.
no. It's up.
He had a lot of people on that border coming up, but they never advertised it in the press.
Not these
He had
kind
this
of.
many. He had this many
Not
people.
this kind of numbers, and
Not
they
that-
weren't
no, it
throwing
wasn't
them
the-
in concentration camps. So that,
Yeah, he.
see, this is the sort of the reverse psychology thing, because you make all this noise about closing your border, it makes the people who are desperate to get here
Even more desperate.
move now.
Yeah.
Right, let's go while there's still a chance. I remember the old days when they kept raising the interest rate on like home mortgages and stuff. And literally interest rates, what do you pay today? 4%,
4
something like that.
5%, right.
Literally, the interest rates were up to 12, 13, and 14%. And every time the Fed raised the rates in order to try to cool things down, people went, oh, we better buy now before it goes higher.
That's right.
And what was supposed to be a mechanism to cool demand sparked demand.
Okay.
And all Trump's rhetoric about immigration is doing exactly the same thing. It is pumping up
What's
the
coming?
urgency of people to try to come.
It's coming. Bad things are coming.
But he'll never understand that because the man's incapable of understanding anything.
Well,
There has never been such an arrogant, ignorant person in the White House. There have been a few governors who raided up there. In fact, Maine comes to mind.
but you know what the Chinese are doing? They're ending their spending spree in this country. They're going to stop. They've stopped individual investors
Well, here's the thing.
buying hotels and condos and everything.
Remember when the Japanese were buying up Hawaii?
Yes.
And then they went into about a 20-year decline? Well, China is on the verge of doing the same thing. China is in deep economic difficulty on the horizon. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be back next week. Same time, same station,
We're gonna talk about-
for the fun show here at Big TV. See you then.